I don't even know where to start with this mess. I'm sitting in my car outside a gas station at 11 p.m. because I can't go home yet and I have nowhere else to go. My hands are still shaking. So here's the thing. My sister Emma and I haven't spoken in almost 3 years. Not since she completely lost it at my engagement party and told everyone that my fiancé Jake was playing a long game and that I was too blind to see it. She made this whole scene about how he was too charming, too perfect, too interested in our family's money. We're not even that wealthy. I was humiliated. I told her to stay away from my wedding and my life. Tonight, I went to Mom's house to pick up some old photo albums for the anniversary slideshow I've been working on. Jake and I are celebrating our 2nd anniversary tomorrow. I had this whole romantic evening planned. I was actually feeling good about us lately. We've been through some rough patches, but things seem to be getting better. I'm digging through Mom's closet when I hear the front door slam. Then I hear Emma's voice in the kitchen. My stomach just drops. I haven't heard that voice in so long, and suddenly I'm 15 again, fighting over who gets to use the car. I figured I'd just grab the albums and sneak out, but then Mom calls out, "Oh, perfect timing! You're both here!" I walk into the kitchen and Emma is standing there looking like she's seen a ghost. She's lost weight. Her hair is different, but her eyes, they have this haunted look that makes my chest tight. Mom is practically bouncing with excitement. She's holding this small gift box and an envelope. "Honey," she says to me, "I have the most wonderful anniversary surprise for Jake. I met the sweetest woman at the country club last week, Rebecca Martinez. She's a personal trainer, absolutely gorgeous and single. I thought Jake might enjoy having a friend while you're going through all this anniversary stress." I stared at her. "I'm sorry, what?" "Well, you know how you get during special occasions. All that fussing and planning and getting emotional. Men need someone calm and fun to talk to. Rebecca is perfect. She's very understanding about married men's needs." Emma grabbed my wrist so hard I gasped. "Lisa," she said in this weird, urgent voice, "we need to go. Right now." The way she was looking at me, like she was watching me stand on train tracks with a locomotive coming. I'm at Emma's apartment now. I can't believe I'm saying that. 3 years of not speaking, and here I am on her couch at 1 a.m. while she makes tea, like we're still kids having a sleepover. But guys, what she told me, I don't know if I can handle this. After we left Mom's house, I literally grabbed Emma's arm and followed her out because something in her voice scared me. She drove us to this 24-hour diner. We sat in silence for like 10 minutes before she finally started talking. "Lisa, I need you to listen to me and not interrupt." "Can you do that?" I nodded. 3 years ago, when I tried to warn you about Jake, I wasn't just being a jealous sister. I had been doing some digging because something felt off about how fast everything was moving with you two. "Emma, we've been over this?" "You said you wouldn't interrupt." Her voice was sharp. "Jake isn't who you think he is. His real name is Jason Hartwell. He's done this before. At least twice that I could find." My heart started pounding. "That's insane. You're making this up because you never liked him." She pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot of a news article from 4 years ago. The headline read, "Local woman loses life savings to romance scammer." There was a photo of a woman who looked maybe 35, pretty, with kind eyes. And next to her photo was a picture of Jake. Same face, same smile. But the name under the photo said Jason Miller. I felt like I was going to throw up. "There's more," Emma said quietly. "I've been tracking him for 3 years. After you cut me off, I couldn't just let it go. I hired a private investigator with my own money. Jason, he targets women from upper middle-class families. Women who are maybe a little insecure, who have family money or good credit. He marries them, gains access to their finances, and then disappears. But Lisa," she paused and looked at me with these sad, tired eyes. "He's never stayed married this long before. Usually, he's gone within a year." "Why are you telling me this now?" I whispered. "Because Mom called me yesterday. She said she was worried about you two, that Jake seemed restless, and she wanted to help. She asked me if I knew any nice single women who might be interested in being his friend while you were busy with work stress." The pieces started clicking together in my head, and I felt sick. She's not trying to help me. I said slowly. She's trying to give him an exit strategy. Emma nodded. I think she figured out who he really is. And instead of warning you, she's trying to make it easier for him to leave you without taking everything. I started crying right there in the diner. Not pretty crying, the ugly gulping kind where you can't breathe. Because suddenly everything made sense. Why Jake had been so distant lately. Why he'd been asking weird questions about my savings account. Why he'd suggested I put his name on my grandmother's trust fund, just in case something happens. There's something else, Emma said, and I could tell she didn't want to say it. The PI found evidence that Jake has been talking to Rebecca Martinez for 3 weeks. They've met for coffee twice. How do you know all this? Because I've been watching him, Lisa. Following him sometimes. I know how crazy that sounds, but I couldn't just let him destroy your life. I've been documenting everything, taking photos, recording conversations when I could. I have enough evidence to prove fraud, identity theft, probably more. I stared at her. My sister, who I'd called crazy and paranoid and jealous, had been trying to protect me this whole time. While I was planning anniversary slideshows, she was building a case to save my life. Why didn't you just call the police? Because he hasn't technically stolen anything yet. And because... She took a shaky breath. Because I was afraid that if I was wrong, you'd never forgive me. But if I was right and did nothing, you'd never forgive me either. We sat there for a long time not talking. Finally, I asked, "What do we do now?" "We have 2 choices," Emma said. "We can take everything to the police and hope they can build a case, or we can beat him at his own game." "What do you mean?" She smiled for the first time all night, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile she used to get when we were kids, and she was about to do something that would get us both in trouble. I mean, we give Jake exactly what he wants, and we make sure he pays for it. Holy crap. I can't believe what we just did. I'm either a genius or I just ruined my entire life. Maybe both. So Emma's plan was actually pretty brilliant. Instead of confronting Jake directly or going to the police with evidence that might not stick, we decided to let him think his plan was working perfectly while secretly documenting everything for a slam dunk case. The idea was this. I would act completely oblivious and even encourage the friendship with Rebecca. Meanwhile, Emma would pose as a wealthy widow looking for companionship. She borrowed jewelry from our cousin and rented a nice car. She'd approach Jake independently, making him think he'd found an even better target. While he was juggling both situations, we'd record everything and catch him in the act of attempted fraud. It started out so well. This morning, I went home and acted totally normal. Jake was still asleep, so I made coffee and waited. When he came downstairs, I was sitting at the kitchen table with Mom's gift box. "Honey," I said in my sweetest voice, "my mom got us the most thoughtful anniversary present." He looked confused until I opened the box. Inside was Rebecca's business card and a note from Mom explaining how she thought Jake might enjoy having a supportive friend during this stressful time in our marriage. Jake's face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, panic, calculation, and then this smooth smile that I realize now I should have recognized as fake years ago. "That's really thoughtful of your mom," he said carefully, "but I don't think I need..." "Oh, but I think it's a great idea," I interrupted. "I've been so stressed with work lately, and you've been so patient. You deserve to have someone fun to talk to, someone who isn't always worrying about bills and anniversary planning." I watched him process this. I could literally see the wheels turning in his head. "Are you sure?" he asked. "I don't want you to feel uncomfortable." "Jake, honey, I trust you completely. Besides, it's just friendship, right?" He hugged me and told me how understanding I was, how lucky he was to have me. I had to excuse myself to go throw up. While I was playing the perfect trusting wife, Emma was setting up her part. She'd created this whole backstory, recently widowed, inherited a lot of money, lonely, and looking for companionship. She'd even set up fake social media accounts with photos of expensive vacations and designer clothes. The plan was for her to accidentally bump into Jake at his usual coffee shop that afternoon. Here's where everything went wrong. Emma texted me around 2 p.m. Made contact. "He's definitely interested. This is gonna work." Then at 4 p.m., problem. He knows who I am. Then at 4:30 p.m., Lisa, call me now. I called her from my car during my lunch break. She was crying. Lisa, he knew it was me the second I walked up to him. He smiled and said, "Hello, Emma. Lisa's sister, right? The one who doesn't trust me." My blood went cold. "What did you do?" I panicked. I tried to play it off like it was a coincidence, but he just laughed. He said, "I know what you're trying to do, and it's not going to work. Lisa told me all about your little conspiracy theories." I never told him that. I know you didn't. But he said you called him this morning after I left, crying about how I was trying to break you up again with crazy stories. He said you begged him to help you prove I was lying so you could cut me off permanently. I felt like the world was tilting. Emma, I swear I never. There's more. He offered to help me get the help I need. Said he was worried about my mental health and that maybe I should check myself into a facility for a few weeks. For my own good. The worst part? People in the coffee shop were listening. Jake had positioned himself perfectly so that everyone could hear him being the concerned, reasonable brother-in-law dealing with his wife's unstable sister. But here's the thing that really scares me, Emma continued. He knew details about my investigation that I never told anyone. He knew about the PI. He knew I'd been following him. He even knew about the fake social media accounts I'd just created that morning. How is that possible? I think he's been watching me, Lisa. This whole time I thought I was tracking him. He was tracking me. I hung up and sat in my car feeling like the world was ending. Our brilliant plan had backfired spectacularly. Jake now had the perfect narrative. The jealous, unstable sister who was so desperate to break up her sister's happy marriage that she'd created elaborate lies and stalked him. Meanwhile, I was the devoted wife who'd confided in her husband about her sister's mental health issues. But it got worse. When I got home that evening, Jake was waiting for me with Rebecca Martinez. "Lisa, honey," he said with that same fake smile, "I thought you should meet Rebecca properly. After what happened with Emma today, I realized how important it is that we're all on the same page." Rebecca was exactly what Mom had described. Beautiful, calm, sympathetic. She looked at me with these kind, concerned eyes and said, "Jake told me about your sister's difficulties. I want you to know that I would never do anything to complicate your marriage. I'm just here as a friend." They'd clearly talked about this. They had their story straight. "We thought it might be good for you to see that there's nothing inappropriate happening," Jake continued. Complete transparency. In fact, Rebecca suggested that maybe you could join us sometimes when we hang out, like a group friendship thing. I sat there nodding and smiling while inside I was screaming, because I realized what had happened. Jake hadn't just outmaneuvered us. He'd turned our own plan against us. Now he looked like the patient husband dealing with his wife's paranoid sister while positioning himself perfectly to start his relationship with Rebecca right in front of me. And the worst part? Everyone would think it was my idea. When Rebecca left, Jake put his arms around me and said, "I'm so proud of how you handled Emma today, calling me right after she left, telling me about her wild accusations that took real strength. I know it couldn't have been easy to admit your sister needs professional help." I stared at him. "Jake, I never called you today." He smiled and showed me his phone. There was a call log showing a 40-minute conversation with my number that morning, right around the time Emma said she'd left my apartment. "Maybe you're more stressed than you thought, sweetheart. You were pretty upset when you called. Maybe you don't remember everything we talked about." That's when I knew I wasn't just married to a scammer. I was married to someone much more dangerous than that. I don't know how to start this update. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. Everything. The last few days have been a nightmare. After Jake showed me that fake call log, I started questioning my own sanity. Was I losing my memory? Had I really called him and forgotten? Emma kept insisting she never heard me make any phone calls, but Jake was so calm and reasonable about it. He even suggested I see a doctor about the memory issues. Meanwhile, Rebecca started showing up everywhere. At the grocery store where I shop, at my gym, at the coffee place near my office. Always friendly, always concerned about how I was handling the stress. She'd make these casual comments about Jake, how worried he was about me, how he'd mentioned I'd been forgetful lately, how he was such a devoted husband for sticking by me during this difficult time. I felt like I was going crazy. Then yesterday morning, everything changed. I was at my lowest point. Emma and I had another fight because she kept insisting Jake was manipulating me, but I couldn't see how. The evidence was right there in his phone. I'd even started wondering if Emma had made up the whole Jason Hartwell thing. That's when Mom called. "Lisa, honey, we need to talk. Can you come over? And bring Emma." Her voice sounded weird, strained. When we got to Mom's house, she was sitting at the kitchen table with a laptop open and papers scattered everywhere. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Sit down, both of you," she said. "I have something to tell you, and you're not going to like it." Emma and I exchanged glances. We were barely speaking at this point. 3 months ago, Mom began, I was contacted by a private investigator named David Chen. He said he was working a case involving identity fraud and marriage scams, and he had some questions about Jake. My heart stopped. At first, I thought it was ridiculous. Jake is such a lovely boy, but Mr. Chen showed me evidence. Photos, documents, records of other women Jake had targeted. I realized Emma had been right all along. Emma grabbed my hand. "Mom, why didn't you tell us?" "Because Mr. Chen asked me not to. He said they were building a federal case, but they needed Jake to actually commit fraud before they could arrest him. He asked me to help them catch Jake in the act." I stared at her. "The Rebecca thing." "Rebecca Martinez is an undercover federal agent. The whole gift thing was designed to see if Jake would take the bait and start an affair, which would help establish a pattern of behavior for the prosecution." My brain felt like it was short-circuiting. But Jake knew about Emma's investigation. He knew things he shouldn't have known. Mom's face crumpled. "That's my fault. I told Mr. Chen everything Emma had discovered. I thought I was helping. But Jake has been in contact with Rebecca for weeks as part of the sting operation. She was feeding him information to make him feel in control." "Wait," Emma said slowly. "If Rebecca is a federal agent and she's been working with Jake, then why didn't she arrest him when he started scamming Lisa?" Mom looked at us with tears in her eyes. "Because Jake hasn't been scamming Lisa. He hasn't taken any money. He hasn't committed any crimes against her. The FBI has been waiting for 2 years for him to actually do something illegal that they could prosecute." The room went silent. "But the other women," I whispered. "We're all paid actresses," Mom said quietly. "The news articles Emma found, the photos, the evidence of his previous crimes, it was all fake, created by someone who wanted Emma to think Jake was a criminal." I felt like the floor was falling out from under me. "That's impossible. Emma showed me proof." "I hired the private investigator who gave Emma that information," Mom interrupted. "His name is Marcus Webb. I paid him $20,000 to create a fake investigation that would make Emma think Jake was dangerous." Emma stood up so fast, her chair fell over. "You did what?" "You have to understand." Mom was crying now. "You were destroying Lisa's happiness. You couldn't accept that she'd found someone who loved her. I thought if you believed Jake was a criminal, you'd eventually get bored and move on to some other conspiracy theory." "But why involve the FBI?" I asked. "I didn't. There is no FBI investigation. David Chen is Marcus Webb's partner. Rebecca Martinez is just an actress I hired through Marcus's agency. The whole federal case was made up to explain why Jake seemed to know so much about Emma's investigation." Emma sank back into her chair. "So Jake isn't a scammer?" "No. He's not named Jason Hartwell." "No. He never stole money from other women." "No. And I've spent 3 years of my life, ruined my relationship with my sister, and spent my savings investigating a man who's guilty of nothing except marrying someone I was jealous of." Mom nodded miserably. I looked at Emma. She looked at me. We both started laughing. Not happy laughing, the kind of hysterical laughing you do when your entire reality has just been flipped upside down. "So let me get this straight," I said, wiping tears from my eyes. "You hired fake private investigators to convince Emma that my husband was a criminal, so she'd stop trying to break us up. Then you hired a fake FBI agent to run a fake sting operation to catch him committing fake crimes. And through all of this, Jake has just been my husband, living his life, wondering why my family is completely insane." "That's about right," Mom whispered. Emma started laughing again. I followed him to Starbucks 47 times. 47 times. I have spreadsheets tracking his coffee orders. The poor man probably thought he was being stalked by someone with a caffeine obsession, I said. We all sat there in the wreckage of the most ridiculous family drama in history. There's one more thing, Mom said quietly. Marcus Webb, the fake PI? He's been blackmailing me for months. Started asking for more money to maintain the investigation. When I tried to cut him off, he threatened to tell you both what I'd done. That's why I finally decided to come clean. Emma and I looked at each other. After 3 years of not speaking, after all the accusations and hurt feelings and broken trust, we'd finally found common ground. We both wanted to absolutely destroy Marcus Webb. Mom, Emma said sweetly, do you still have his contact information? Marcus Webb is in jail. Turns out, when you hire someone to create fake federal investigations and impersonate FBI agents, you're actually committing several felonies. Who knew? Emma and I went to the real FBI. Weird how much easier they are to find when they actually exist. And they were very interested in Marcus's little fake investigation business. Apparently, he's been running this scam on multiple families, taking money from parents who want to break up their kids' relationships by making the boyfriend-girlfriend look like a criminal. The best part? Rebecca Martinez is a real person, but she's not an actress. She's a dental hygienist who had no idea her photos were being used for this scheme. She's suing Marcus for identity theft. Jake, meanwhile, has been the most understanding husband in the history of marriage. When I finally told him everything, and I mean everything, his response was, well, that explains why your mom kept trying to set me up with random women, and your sister kept photographing my coffee orders. He's actually become friends with Emma. They bonded over being the two sane people in this family. Emma moved back to town and started working as a legitimate private investigator. Turns out, 3 years of fake stalking gave her some real skills. Her first case? Helping other families who were scammed by Marcus Webb's operation. Mom is in therapy. And me? I'm just grateful that the worst thing my husband is guilty of is putting pineapple on pizza and leaving his socks on the bedroom floor. Oh, and our anniversary? We celebrated it 3 weeks late, but it was perfect. Emma came over and made dinner. Jake told stories about all the times he noticed he was being followed. He thought it was sweet that my family was protective. And Mom gave us a normal gift. A photo album. No federal agents. No fake investigations. No actresses pretending to be interested in my husband. Just a regular, boring, wonderful family dinner. Sometimes boring is exactly what you need. Edit. A lot of people are asking about the fake phone call Jake supposedly made from my number. Turns out, that was Marcus Webb using a spoofing app to make Jake look more suspicious. Jake's phone records show he never called anyone that morning. Just another layer of the fake investigation designed to make Emma's story seem more credible. Edit 2. Thank you for all the awards and support. Yes, we're all in family therapy now. Yes, Jake thinks this whole thing is hilarious. No, I will not be asking my mother for anniversary gift suggestions ever again.